unified 154-pound Swift Jarrett Hurd says he wants and needs Jermell Charlo to be victorious versus Tony Harris in the rematch so he could beat Jermell Charlo for the WBC and bolster his legacy. Stay tuned, coming up next.
Hey, this is Cassie, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout outs to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, habla Cindy, está viendo Deportes TV.
But also, Jermell Charlo and Tony Harris about to have a rematch. So what do you see? Do you see yourself after this fight trying to go for that green belt?
That's the plan, man. That's what I want. You know, listen, I'm trying to become undisputed. We got Terrence Crawford that inspired me, and then we just seen Carissa Shields do it. I'm like this, man. Look, I'm seeing it right in front of me. That's the same thing I want to happen. So, the plan is to fight for a WBC before the year's out. Hopefully, I wanted to be Charlo because that's the fight everybody wants. I like to challenge myself also already fought towards Tony Harris in the South. Hurd Harris should still be cool, but I'd rather be Charlo.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So Swift Jarrett Hurd, unified super welterweight champion, says and talks about Jermell Charlo rematch with Tony Harrison. He stated that he wants Jermell Charlo to win so he could beat Jermell Charlo for the WBC title at the end of the year and become undisputed. He stated that Terrence Crawford became undisputed. He just seen Clarissa Shields become undisputed. Him himself wants to become undisputed, but he wants that to come against Jermell Charlo. He said that Tony Harrison upset the apple cart and beating Jermell Charlo the first go around. And he said that he wants and needs Jermell Charlo to be victorious because he already beat and knocked out Tony Harris. He said that would be a good rematch. They developed a relationship. They're friends outside of the ring now, that being Hurd and Tony Harrison. He says, but he really needs for his legacy. He was already on course. They was on a collision course to have a mega showdown. And Tony Harrison upset the apple cart. He stated that, he really needs and wants Jermell Charlo to be victorious in this fight so that for his legacy, when he fights for the WBC undisputed, he wanted to be against the guy that the world wanted to see him fight in the first place, and that's Jermell Charlo. So he says he's rooting for Jermell Charlo. It's hard because Tony Harrison is his friend. He said, but in this case, he's got to think about his own legacy, and to bolster his legacy, he needs a victory over Jermell Charlo before he moves up to the 160-pound middleweight division. He's at the current super welterweight 154-pound weight limit, and he's unified there. So he says that he wants to and he needs to make this fight with Jermell Charlo. He wants it to be Jermell Charlo. This is the fight that everybody was clamoring for, that being Jarrett Hurd versus Jermell Charlo. He's stating that, he wants that fight. He said he wants to test himself. He won't pick who's the better fighter out of Tony Harrison and Jermell Charlo. And obviously, we saw Tony Harrison win the fight. I personally thought that Jermell Charlo won the fight, as well as Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd thought that Jermell Charlo won the fight against Tony Harrison as well. A lot of people thought that, but the judges didn't think that. Most importantly, the judges didn't see it. So it didn't go in Jermell Charlo's favor. Jermell Charlo is scheduled to fight Tony Harrison in June, I believe, in a hometown fight in Houston, if I'm not mistaken. This is a big fight. Hopefully Jermell Charlo learned from his mistakes in the first fight, corrects them, and comes out victorious. And then at the end of the year, we could get Jarrett Swift Hurd versus Jermell Charlo. I used to favor Jermell Charlo to beat Jarrett Hurd, but at this point in time, I think Jarrett Hurd grew. I think that Jarrett Hurd is a much better fighter than he was a few years ago. I think he's gaining more and more experience with the fights he's having. He fought Erislandy Lara. He fought Tony Harrison. As he knocked out Tony Harrison, he nearly stopped Erislandy Lara. If there were more time in the 12th round, he would have stopped Erislandy Lara. And now he's fighting Julian J. Rock Williams. After surgery, he had an interim fight back in December 1st on Deontay Wilder's card with Tyson Fury. And now he's going to have a fight with Julian J. Rock Williams, who's only once beaten. That coming to, ironically enough, Jermell Charlo's older brother, well, twin brother, should I say. Jermell Charlo fights at 164 pounds now. He used to campaign at 54. He knocked out Julian J. Rock Williams. That's the only loss, the only blemish on Julian J. Rock Williams' resume. That being said, this is a huge fight with Julian J. Rock Williams and Jarrett Swift Hurd. Very interesting. Julian J. Rock Williams, very tricky, very powerful. So this is going to be a tough fight. With that said, I think that Jarrett Swift Hurd will be victorious against Julian J. Rock Williams. I think the pressure is too much. I think Julian J. Rock Williams will succumb to the pressure Jarrett Hurd puts on. And I think that he'll be victorious, that being Jarrett Hurd. With that said, I think that Jermell Charlo will be victorious against Tony Harrison in the rematch. I think that he won't just be in there looking for the knockout. And I think the knockout will eventually come because he did hurt Tony Harrison a few times. He just was getting overzealous looking for the knockout instead of just letting the knockout come to him. With that said, he got overzealous. He was missing a lot of shots. He looked a little tight, and Tony Harrison was popping him with the jab. And now with that said, on to Jermell Charlo versus Jarrett Swift Hurd. I think that the pressure and the experience that Jarrett Hurd has garnered at this point in time, and the pressure and his size is going to make Jermell Charlo succumb to the pressure. I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on Jermell Charlo, and I think that Jarrett Swift Hurd, or Swift Jarrett Hurd, will be victorious against Jermell Charlo. I think it'll be a split decision victory for Jarrett Hurd at the end of the day, should they come to an agreement and make the fight happen. But this is a super fight. This is the fight that everybody wanted to see, and I'm glad that we have Jarrett Swift Hurd, or Swift Jarrett Hurd, pushing for this fight and actually wanting Jermell Charlo to be victorious. Because, a lot of fighters would just say, listen, you know something? I don't care who wins. I'm just looking to get the belt. But yeah, he wants the belt, but he cares who holds the belt because it'll bolster his legacy. So he really wants the fight to be Jermell Charlo, as he already beat Tony Harrison. So to beat Tony Harrison the second time after he already stopped Tony Harrison the first time, he'll be unified, he'll be undisputed, but it won't come off, it won't have the same ring as if he beat Jermell Charlo, because then he would have beaten both of them. He would have beaten J. Rock Williams, he would have beaten Jermell Charlo, he wouldn't have beaten Tony Harrison, Erislandy Lara, the best at 154 pounds, and to become undisputed and then move up to 160 is a huge feat for Jarrett Hurd and his career. So this is great news, man. This is how we want our boxers to talk. I love the way Jarrett Hurd approaches the game of boxing, the sport of boxing. And this is huge, man. This is very huge, man. So that's all I got for y'all, man. Swift Jarrett Hurd says that he's rooting. He needs Jermell Charlo to be victorious against Tony Harrison the second go-round, so he could beat Jermell Charlo at the end of the year for that WBC title and become undisputed on his route to become an undisputed super welterweight 154-pound champion. That's all I got for y'all, man. It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
The Blue Blood Sport TV, baby, from the Empress. Much love.